Okay, part two. Here we go. So the next presenter was Julia Mossbridge. Julia spoke of telekinesis and telepathy. No such thing. No such thing as telekinesis or telepathy. It's never been proven. Science fiction bullshit. Julia Mossbridge offered no tangible evidence for ET visiting the Earth. Another one of their presenters bites the dust. Then, it's getting more and more fanciful now. Then there was Birdie Jaworski, who seemed to be the spokesperson for an ET is here piffle peddling group telling science fiction stories. I listened to some of it and it was just drivel, really. Yeah, she's going to be teaching so Birdie's going to be teaching a remote viewing course next January to enable people to communicate with ETs. FFS. None of Birdie's group members offered a scrap of tangible evidence to support their fanciful stories. So neither Birdie or a single member of her group presented any tangible evidence to support ETs visiting the Earth. Another group bites the dust. Then we have Richard O'Connor. Now, he's at the Jesse A. Marcel Library, and I think that's Jesse Marcel's son, isn't it? Jesse A. Marcel, I think he was the doctor. He's fronting another disclosure group, peddling science fiction stories without a scrap of tangible evidence. Neither Richard O'Connor nor any members of his group offered a scrap of tangible evidence to support ETs visiting Earth. Then we have Victor Vigiani, fronting another science fiction piffle peddling club by the look of it. A group pushing for disclosure, wants civil action to push for disclosure or something. As I've said before, they've got to keep this. We've got to push for disclosure, we've got to push for disclosure, we've got to push for disclosure. And of course the American government is saying there's nothing to disclose, you know. Push as hard as you like for as long as you like. You know, we can't disclose what we haven't got. But they don't believe that because it's not what they want to hear. So Victor Vigiani offered no tangible evidence to support ET visiting the Earth. Now we have Ron James from MUFON, you know, the science fiction diorama peddler, presenting what looks like a trailer for a science fiction movie. Big face and a clown, big flying saucer over the city, or lightning bolts coming out of it, you know. Lots of science fiction fanciful nonsense from Ron James. Ron James offered no tangible evidence to support ET visiting the Earth. So far we've got 100% failure on the part of anybody presenting at the New Paradigm Institute Global Disclosure Day to present any tangible evidence whatsoever to support ET visiting the Earth. 100% failure. All those people. Then there was Steve Basset. As we know, Steve Basset, he's died in the wall piffle peddler. He'll see a coin on the floor and go, oh, it's a coin on the floor. Well, that validates the Roswell story. You know, he lives in Cloud Cuckoo Land. His favourite phrase is, there's a truth in Bargo, because he's not hearing what he wants to hear. You know, he's absolutely convinced Roswell crash was real. Of course, it was a mogul balloon string. The guy running the Mogul program fell about laughing when he said when he read it in the Roswell Daily Record that a disc had been recovered because he knew it was Mogul balloon string number 4 that crashed in Brazel's Field. 3 weeks before July the 7th. But Steve Basset doesn't want to hear that. He knows it's all real, and until he hears somebody tell him that, there's a truth in Bargo. Complete and utter rubbish, of course. There is no truth in Bargo. The only truth in Bargo is being perpetrated by the ET is here piffle peddlers. They're the ones lying to you. There's nothing to any of this. That's the truth. And they want to hide that from you with their truth embargo. Steve Basset, of course, offered no tangible evidence to support ET visiting the Earth. And yeah, I couldn't push myself beyond that. The next person was Ron Jennings from the Contact in the Desert. They're not going to be contacting ETs, and I'd already wasted 2 hours of my life watching all that bloody rubbish. I wasn't going to waste any more. So it was getting more and more fanciful. The more it got closer to the end, it went on for another hour, I think. Contact in the Desert, complete and utter rubbish, complete and utter waste of time and money. So there we go, Global Disclosure Day from the New Paradigm Institute, complete and utter failure. They disclosed absolutely nothing ET related that was supported with tangible evidence. All I heard was fanciful yarns, science fiction stories, lots of people enthusiastically peddling a lot of science fiction rubbish, completely unsupported with a scrap of tangible evidence. Not one scrap of tangible evidence to support one syllable of what they were saying. So, dismal failure. Every single presenter completely and utterly failed to provide a scrap of tangible evidence to support anything they were saying. Just as I predicted. I'll make another video September the 31st, 2025, if I'm still around. And I'll be saying exactly the same thing. They won't be disclosing anything because there's nothing to disclose. Alright, well, as always, if you've struggled through both of these videos all the way to this point, many thanks for watching. And maybe I'll catch you again.